Welcome to the Falls Homefront, where Wichita Falls leads in North Texas real estate, business, and life. I'm Tim Lockhart, retired Air Force officer, realtor, and your local real estate and business strategist. Every week, I'm shining a spotlight on people, places, and opportunities that make our community thrive. You'll hear real estate tips, market insights, and inspiring conversations with local leaders, entrepreneurs, and fellow military veterans. Whether you're a homeowner, investor, military family, or brand new to the area, you'll get the expert advice, community connections, and local insights you won't find anywhere else. Let's get started. Welcome to the Falls Homefront. I'm Tim Lockhart, and I appreciate you tuning in. We've got a great episode today full of practical tips and local insights that you're not going to want to miss. Today, I'm so excited to welcome our guest, Steve Garner. Steve is a retired automotive sales professional with over 35 years of industry experience and a dedicated community leader in Wichita Falls, Texas. He currently serves as Marketing Strategist with Hoegger Communications and contributes his time to several civic organizations, including the Lake Wichita Revitalization Committee, Wichita Falls Parks Board, and Wichita Falls 4B Board. A longtime member of First Baptist Church of Wichita Falls, Steve is also active in local governance through the Wichita County Republican Party Executive Committee and as an election judge. Welcome to the podcast, Steve.
It's great to be here with you, Tim. I'm excited to share so many really exciting things going on in our area.
Yeah, absolutely. One of your passions is contributing to improving the quality of life here in Wichita Falls. And one of the main initiatives is the Lake Wichita Falls Project. This has been in the works for many years, and there are some new things happening, some new momentum with this project. Why is this lake revitalization so important to our community?
Tim, for those of your viewers that aren't familiar with Lake Wichita and the history of the lake, it's the third oldest lake in the state of Texas. The lake was originally built as a water source for Wichita Falls. And then after the community began to grow, 1948 was the last year that Lake Wichita was used as a water source. And it has just since then been an entertainment recreation vehicle for the city. But when the lake was first built, it was such an incredible recreation draw. The rail traffic from Fort Worth and Oklahoma City would bring visitors into Wichita Falls to come out to Lake Wichita. At that time, back in the 19-teens and the 1920s and 30s, there was a giant pavilion out there till the early 50s. But there at one time was a hotel, cabins. There was a racetrack. There were just all kinds of things out here for people to do. People would come here and spend the weekend. There was actually a trolley rail from downtown Wichita Falls all the way out to Lake Wichita. If people in our community can envision, that bringing Wichita Falls residents at that time, the downtown area was Wichita Falls. Out where I am, out in the Wichita Falls Medical Alliance Park in Hamilton Park, was just open prairie. And so it was an actual rail car trip from Wichita Falls downtown out to the lake itself on the southwest side of what's now Wichita Falls. But during the course of 100 years, which is the average lifespan of a reservoir, and we are currently at 122 years, so our lake is effectively dead. And the thing that really caused Lake Wichita to effectively die was the Holiday Creek Flood Control Project from 1991 to 93. For those of your viewers and listeners, back in the 80s, 90s, our community was continually flooded. We'd get a 2 or 3 inch rain, and our storm drainage system and Holiday Creek itself couldn't handle the rain. And the center part of town and Country Club, the French Quarter Apartments, the southwest side of town off of Fairway, all those streets that are now down by the lake, they would all flood. And at that time, Our senator at that time was John Tower, and he was able to get Congress to approve this massive flood control project. And so now the Holiday Creek flood control channel that goes through our community begins out at the spillway at Lake Wichita, goes all the way through town. And what that did was the Corps of Engineers lowered the spillway height by 4.5 feet. And it took Lake Wichita from a 2,200 acre feet lake down to a 1,200 acre feet lake. And it took the average depth of the lake at full capacity when the water's at the spillway level. It was a 4.5 foot average depth with a 8.5 to 9 foot deepest, which that just doesn't keep the water cool enough to sustain plant life and fish life. So every time we'd go through 18 months or 20 months of intense heat, the lake would almost dry up. And so what we have to do is deepen that lake. And the Lake Wichita Revitalization Committee was formed as the Lake Wichita Revitalization Project 11 years ago. And we identified an opportunity back in the 2014, 2015 timeframe with the Corps of Engineers. Our Corps of Engineer office that governs Lake Wichita is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So they came down, looked at our lake and said, yeah, this is something that we'd be able to get behind. And so at that time, we spent nearly 3 years putting together, it's called a 404 permit, which allows us to work on the lake to restore it to its original capacity, original use. And we started with that. We have now identified another program with the Corps of Engineers that will give us up to $10 million in a 75-25% grant mix. And the first phase of deepening the lake is going to cost between 12 and 14 million. And so we feel as a community, this is going to be the launch pad, if you want to call it that, for reclaiming Lake Wichita as a recreation destination.
That's great. Thanks for that background and history.
Sure.
Lots of people probably don't realize how much of a gathering point this used to be.
Tim, people used to come here from Amarillo, from Oklahoma City, from Abilene, up from Dallas and Fort Worth. They would come up here and spend the weekend to fish, to go boating. In the wintertime, we've got pictures of people ice skating out at the old pavilion site. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, besides just deepening the lake, what other plans do we have for different recreational activities?
For our community, over the last 8 years, we've seen really nice wins, beginning with the spillway mural that was painted. Ralph Starnes did such an incredible job. And if someone hasn't been out to the spillway that's off of Kent Boulevard, they need to go out and look at that beautiful. It's just huge. You can walk up the spillway and look at it. There's a picnic bench and you can overlook the southwest side of the lake, but you can also see that beautiful mural. And after the mural was installed, then Bob Seabury and his wife Jeannie donated a beautiful metal flying fish sculpture. And so we had that installed out by the big dirt mound on the south side of Lake Wichita Park. Following that, we had the floating pier installed off of the spillway. And that is still a site where people go out and fish. And so we've had that win. After that, we were so blessed to have the Kimball family and some of the local foundations help with the boardwalk that was built. And the boardwalk, which is now used by hundreds of people every week, I've actually been out there. I walk that trail 2 to 4 times a week. And I've seen 2 wedding parties over the last several years out getting pictures made and everything out there on the boardwalk, which I think is fantastic. And after that, we had the kayak launch was installed last year. The Veterans Memorial Plaza, which was a project that the late Harry Patterson and his wife Brenda were instrumental in getting done. And so the Veterans Memorial Plaza is now down by the giant dirt mound. And the city of Wichita Falls completely redid that parking lot a year and a half ago. So we now have a wonderful destination for those things. And then as we begin deepening the lake, there's going to be so many things, Tim, that will follow. We'll have restaurants that are going to follow because people love water. People love to go out and be around water. I kayak on there. I've kayaked 5 or 6 times this year. The kayak launch, people use that on a regular basis now because we've had water in Lake Wichita all year long, which has been great.
Yeah, it has been good. Um, yeah, the Veterans Plaza is really beautiful if anyone hasn't been down there.
The Veterans Plaza, we have now the Wichita Falls Parks Board and the Lake Wichita Revitalization Committee now have a long range Veterans Plaza master plan, which includes nearly doubling the size of it. And that's one of the things that we are so excited about. It's such a wonderful gathering place for families. People can go out there and just enjoy the space. Or if they've bought bricks, which we still have bricks for sale, if somebody wants to honor or memorialize a family member, they can buy a brick and have it installed in the brick walkway. But it's going to be really exciting. We're going to have a covered shade structure. We'll have a really nice entryway built, and we'll have some really nice expansions.
Yeah, that's great. And then there's the Circle Trail that goes through the park, and that is being completed. And so that's exciting.
It really is exciting. The Circle Trail, Jack Murphy was such a visionary in the late 80s and early 90s when he got that project started. There were so many in the community that just didn't understand what an incredible benefit and asset that trail would be for our citizens. And that trail is used by thousands every single day now, Tim. It's just amazing. The last 2 sections of the trail to be worked on, there's a section out by Lucy Park that is being completed right now, should be done by the spring. And then the last section will be out by Lake Wichita that goes from where it ends currently by Larry's Marine off of Lakeshore Drive. It'll be extended from there to Barnett Road. And that will give us a complete loop around the city. And that loop will be right at 25 miles. So people will be able to get on it with a bike or a skateboard or rollerblades, or if they just want to walk or run, they'll be able to circle the city.
Yeah, that's great. And there's a good biking community and outdoor community here that is using the trail a lot. So that's really good.
Yeah, like I said, I'm on the trail 2 to 4 days a week, and I'm usually on the trail between 5:30 and 8. And so I'm out early as the light changes from night to morning. And I still, at that early time, I still see people out on their bikes, walking their dogs, running. And it's just, I love being out there in that fresh, open air. And Lake Wichita is so beautiful, Tim. You get out there and the morning and the sunrise and the reflections off of that lake, that massive colony of, and I don't know if it's called a colony, but whatever you call a big group of pelicans, just to see those pelicans gathered out there off of Pelican Point, it's just absolutely, it's just beautiful.
That is great. How can residents and businesses get involved with supporting the efforts?
The City of Wichita Falls has got a really user-friendly website, and they can go to the City of Wichita Falls website and go to the Lake Wichita Revitalization Committee's access point, and they can get all the information they want. They can go to that website. They've got, if they want to get one of the bricks out at the Veterans Memorial Plaza, there's a form on there that they can download and fill out and submit. They pay for the brick online. They can send a check in if they want to. But there's always something going on, and they can access the City of Wichita Falls website and get the information that they need. The Lake Wichita Revitalization Committee meets the second Tuesday of each month. That's posted on the city website as well. And it is an open meeting, Tim. If we have probably 8 or 9 months out of the year, we'll have community members come to the meeting just to hear what's going on. I'm excited for the month of November, the second Tuesday in November. We've got a community member that's going to come present a proposal for a water recreation area out at the lake that we can look at and see if it's something that we want to pursue. But we're constantly getting community members say, hey, what about this or what about that, or could we do this? And it all comes down to money and how do we get something done out there so it is an absolute recreation draw for our area.
That's great. What time on Tuesdays?
The meetings are at 11:30, and they are at the Clarence Muehlberger bus station downtown, which is on Scott Street. It's just right behind the Hagar Coliseum, right there on Scott.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. There's lots of other things happening, lots of things at the lake, but there's a whole lot of other things happening in our community. What excites you most about the future of Wichita Falls?
I think the growth and development of Wichita Falls is something that's been on the conversation of Wichitans for decades. I've been here since 1982, and I've been part of two previous renditions of trying to grow our community. But there's something different going on right now, Tim. The last 6 or 8 years have really seen a coordinated effort between the city council, the city staff, and the Chamber of Commerce to take advantage of the Texas growth miracle. Wichita Falls has not benefited from the influx of businesses and people to the state of Texas like other areas in the state have, and that's changing. The hard work of our prior mayor, Steven Santiana, his staff, the tireless work of people like Glenn Barham, who is also a former mayor but is currently the chairman for the Shepherd Military Affairs Committee. These people continue to work hard for things that will change in a positive way our community. The first big example is the Amazon Center that's almost completed. It should be completed by November. That's it brought in hundreds of construction jobs, but it also is bringing in dozens and dozens of permanent jobs. But what happens in a community where an Amazon distribution center locates is other national retailers, other national suppliers follow. So what's happened since Amazon took up what remaining space we had in our business park, the city and the chamber have actually doubled the size of the business park. And we have in contract a massive data center that's going in out there that's going to supply thousands, not hundreds, but thousands of construction jobs over the next 3 to 5 years. And then one of the things that is happening right now that many people in our community are not fully aware of, Tim, is the incredible expansion out at the Vitro glass plant. The plant was formerly PPG, so a lot of your viewers and listeners will know where that is, but it was bought by a Mexican consortium several years ago. And earlier this year, they announced to the chamber and the city of Wichita Falls that they were going to have a $375 to $400 million expansion at the plant. So they've started the process for that. And then several weeks ago, made the corporate decision that they weren't just going to expand it that size. They decided our market and their market justified an even bigger expansion. So they're going to almost triple the size, which is going to put that expansion, Tim, to over $1 billion with a B, over $1 billion in expansion at that plant. What that translates to for you and me and the people in this community is a permanent staffing increase of over 500 jobs. And these jobs are $75,000 to $150,000 a year jobs. Tim, that's a massive influx of workers, an incredible boost to our local economy. Just think about kids that are struggling right now, making $10, $12, $15 an hour, making $1,000, $1,200 a month, getting some jobs in here that would quadruple their income. So I'm wildly excited about what is happening right now and how it changes the trajectory of Wichita Falls.
Yes, that's great. There's lots of commercial construction going on right now. I can't even keep track with it. How much volume we have, it's billions of dollars is currently under construction right now. The data centers are really exciting. What makes us a good site for that is when we have the land, but we also have the power. It's my understanding that the way the power grid is, we have a large supply of power coming up from the Metroplex, but then it doesn't leave the state, so it just makes a U-turn and goes back down. And so there's a significant loss of power that's available to be used. And these data centers, one of the things that they really need is a good stable source of power. This one has been announced, but I think there's a couple others that are looking at our.
As is always the case in a community, there are negotiations and site visits going on constantly. And there are, in addition to the things that you and I've just talked about, there are probably 3 times that many things that are in conversation right now. Some of them are in contract negotiations. Some of them are simply in site visit conversation modes. But because the state of Texas continues to be a draw for so many national and international companies, the larger growth areas in the state, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the Austin area, the San Antonio area, the Houston area, the El Paso area, those places are getting overgrown. And if you've been to Dallas lately or been to Austin lately, the communities that were a 30-minute drive from Dallas are now part of the Metroplex. Communities like Salina, which is almost to Oklahoma, are now part of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was in Austin this summer, and Lampasas is 38 miles from Austin, and the Austin Creek was within 6 miles of Lampasas. And it's because so many companies want to move here for the business climate and the welcoming business atmosphere in the state of Texas. That combined with Wichita Falls having available electricity, having a stable workforce, having geographic space for expansion, all are invitations for those businesses to move here.
Yeah, it's great. There's lots of good things that are in the works. By the time that this is published, the mall project is probably going to be moving forward. There's great plans for converting the mall space on Kemp to a great recreational shopping destination. That's really exciting.
You know, that's another one of the things that I'm so excited about of what's going on with the community. If you look at communities across the country over the last 12 to 15 years, central malls in communities across the country have shut down. And our mall was in the process of that very same thing, Tim. And several years ago, Ron Kitchens, who was our Chamber of Commerce president, he just recently took a job in St. Louis, Missouri. Congratulations to him for that wonderful opportunity. We're going to miss his dynamism because he really added a lot to our community and our community in the face of a lot of these companies that are now we're negotiating with. But they approached the mall nearly 2 years ago and said, hey, what can we do as a community to revitalize this mall? And the owners at that time said, we really don't want to. This is really a tax write-off, and we're just not interested in spending any substantial monies in this mall. And our fate was just like so many other communities that we were not going to have a mall space. At that time, they looked at what could we do, and oh my gosh, Tim, this new opportunity to convert that 60 acres to a recreational, residential, parking, restaurant, sports complex, entertainment complex space has got developers across the region wildly excited. The developer that the city has chosen, we expect that to be a matter of 6 to 24 months in what they want to put together. The really nice thing about the project is the developer and the city will be working in concert to design the space. They want to keep it because the sports complex is something that the Midwestern State and Texas Tech educational system are going to be putting together. What the city would envision is a concert in construction to match the beautiful campus at Midwestern State. It's one of the most beautiful campuses in the country. I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago, they actually got that designation as the most beautiful campus in Texas. There's so many exciting things about that. The current mall retailers, some of them have already relocated. Some of the others are already in contract to relocate, and some of them are working with the city and the chamber to relocate.
Yeah, that's an exciting project. That's going to be great for our community. Yeah, shifting gears a little bit, what advice would you give to younger residents about getting involved locally?
Tim, there are so many opportunities for need and help and involvement. Every community has got areas that need volunteers. If it's the Meals on Wheels program, which my wife and I have been involved in the past, if it's the Boys and Girls Club program here in the community, if it's the American Red Cross, if it's the Wichita Falls Area Food Bank, everybody has a different passion, has a different mindset on what they want to get involved in. It's simply a matter of getting in touch with one of these places, Tim. Every one of the places I just mentioned is looking for volunteer help. Every one of the places I mentioned has got an executive board of some kind. And if you've got the time or if you've got the expertise to help with administrative or management functions of the food bank, or we've got a big thing coming up, the Empty Bowls campaign just finished up. By the time this gets broadcast, it will have finished up, and that's a massive undertaking by so many different people. But your viewers have got so many options to help in the community. There are service organizations, the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club. There's just plenty of opportunities for involvement in the community.
Yeah, that's great. So just find something that they're passionate about, and there's probably an organization that's already doing something about that we can join and contribute to.
You're absolutely right, Tim. Each of us, you have totally different passions and drives than I have. And the things that you want to give your time to and get involved in are totally different than the things I want to give my time to and get involved in. And everybody's that way. Somebody loves to be in the outdoors. Somebody loves to be at a computer screen. Somebody loves to be on a bike. Somebody loves to be racing a car. It's just, there's so many different areas that people have real desire and passion in. And there's a place in Wichita Falls that they can take those energies and get involved.
Yeah, that's great. So thanks again, Steve, for being here. It was wonderful having you on. How would listeners connect with you for more information?
I've got a wide open schedule. I retired 2 years ago from the car business. I'm working 10 hours a week or so for Hoegger Communications. I can always be reached on my Facebook or Instagram accounts. My phone number is 940-781-1920. I would love to talk to your viewers or listeners and share with them. I can get them in touch with some of the community organizations that are crying for help. I can get them in touch with people at those organizations that can absolutely direct them on how to get involved.
That's great. Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up with the listeners out there?
Tim, I want to thank you for giving me this platform and this opportunity to share my passion for Wichita Falls. I love this community. My wife and I moved here in 1982, and our children were 2.5 and 2 months old. We moved, and this is home for us. My wife and I are both Army brats. We grew up out of boxes in Europe, and we've got roots here in Wichita Falls. Our son and his wife, their 3 children live here. We've had the blessing to be in their lives as they grow up. Our daughter and her husband live in Frisco, so we get to make that trip on occasion. But Wichita Falls has got so much to offer a community like this embraces the members of this community in such a loving Christian way that I don't want to live anywhere else.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Sure.
And to everyone listening out there, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Hopefully you picked up a few takeaways that you can use right here in Wichita Falls or wherever you are in North Texas. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us today, and we'll see you next time on the Falls Homefront.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. That wraps up another episode of the Falls Homefront. I trust today's conversation gave you some useful insight for your real estate journey and life here in North Texas. If you enjoyed it, follow the show so you never miss an episode. And subscribe on YouTube. And share it with a friend, neighbor, or fellow North Texan who might enjoy it too. For more resources, local insights, real estate tips, and how to connect with me, head over to timlockharthomes.com. Stay tuned for more stories, strategies, and connections that help you thrive in Wichita Falls and beyond.